Our assignment step 4, we were working in CodePen. We have created at least 5 boxes right now. This covers some of the initial requirements for step 1 of the assignment. Remember, our initial requirements, at least from part 1, were these. So we've covered most of these. We still have to add an image, a button, and an H1 tag. And I'm going to show you how to do this, and then we'll go back into the directions. Okay, so I have my boxes. Now, I could, if I wanted to, I have a couple choices here. I could change this header tag. And I'll show you. I could just make this an H1. Okay. So if I just change it from header to H1, you can kind of see some of that pre-packaging that the tags, that's kind of the power of the HTML elements. That's how powerful Mr. Architect's briefcase is. If we change that tag just from header to H1, it changed it to a completely different styling of text. Let's go back so you can watch it again. Okay, it takes a minute to kick. All right, so I just have a plain standard default text when it was a header. Okay, but if I make it an H1, it's going to do this. Okay, that's one way to handle it. But since the assignment is actually having us code like a somewhat entire website, we are going to leave it as a header. And I'm going to make that my box, of which my name is just part of that box. So what I expect to happen here when I code this is I'm going to make Lynn Bailey an H1 element, and then I want it to live within the blue box because that's the spot that I want it to be on my actual page. So let's see if I can get that to work just by adding a beginning H1. And then I need an end. It will take it sometimes with, depending on where you're coding. I was always taught to do the end tag no matter what. It's a good practice. I'm not coding, not enough of a coding guru to know the rules on that, but I've noticed in CodePen that if you don't put the end tag, it will still sometimes show up, but I imagine that will cause some crazy issues down the line. Okay, so what we expected to happen was for Lynn Bailey to turn into an H1 tag and live within the blue box, which is exactly what happened. So that's really good news because what we wanted to happen actually did happen. Okay, I think that black is a little bit hard to see on there, so I want to change my font color now to white, but I changed this tag to H1. There's a couple of ways to get inside of that content now, but what I want Mrs. CSS Decorator to do is speak to the H1 tag. If this is a little confusing to you, watch my video prior to this because I explain this a little bit more. So that would be video 4 in the series. It'll explain how they kind of move and attach and link together. All right, so, but we're going to, for now, I'm going to try and keep these in order and try to keep my code as clean. So I have HTML, I have body, I have header, and then I want to put my H1 here. There's my dogs again. Shush, you are fine. But this time I do not want to change the background color. I want to change the regular color. Who's coming down? I'm videoing, so don't talk, okay? All right, but I want to change the font color, and I know by looking at my W3 schools, I could go through to my references down here, and I know if I type in color for the property, I don't know why that didn't show up. It says that it sets the color. The color property specifies the color of the text. So that's how I know to choose that particular property, because I want to change the color to white so that you can see it a little bit better. Okay, that's where it changed. So that covers the H1 tag. It also said that you need to have a button in there. That was one of the requirements. So let's say that I want to have a video or something that I want to show a potential employer, and that wants to be, I want that to be part of my content, and I need to add a button in. Let's put some in there first. The button doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Okay, let's put another H tag in. I'm going to do an H2 tag this time. So I'm going a little bit different off from our original sketch just because I think it'll make more sense. Okay, so I'm going to put a title that says, "This is my video I want you to watch." Okay. And then you could have a video element here, which I'm pretty sure this is a tag. We would have to go look it up. I haven't even gotten that far, and I've done other ways to add videos. No, it might be media, maybe. Media might be. Or audio, I don't know. There's a way to add a video. There's an actual tag for it. I can't remember what it is, though. Let's see what happens if we search video. Whoop. If I could spell, that would be nice. Okay, nothing pops up, so we'll table that for a minute. So let's just, for now, let's pretend that it's a picture that they want you to see. This is a picture I want you to see. Okay, and then we might want to put an image in there for that particular, oops, I'm sorry. Or no, I don't want to do the image yet because that'll just confuse you. Let's put click here for a video. Click here for a video. Because we're just going to instruct them to click on the button. Okay. All right, so that did a couple things. That put an H2 here that said click for a video, and it also, if you see it, it's a tiny, tiny, tiny little button. And I think that's cool. When you use the button tag, the prepackaged information knows within that tag that that's going to be a button. So it actually starts the styling, and it does the setup for you within, as part of the language, to know that that's going to be a button. Okay, so we could go in and even style these further if we wanted to. Say I wanted to talk to the H2. And again, if you're confused on some of this setup, you can look at video 4 in the series, and it'll help you how to set up CSS and a little bit better. Let's make this teal. Okay, and that will change the color there. All right, so I don't want you to forget, though, that really we're creating boxes here. Even though they don't look like it, I'm putting boxes within my boxes. So let's backstep a little bit. Let's go back up to H1. We've already changed the coloring to the white, but I want to do a little background color trick again that we learned from the previous video. And I am going to change the background color to gray this time, just for the H1. Okay. What it did there is it overrode the blue because they're the same size right now. Okay, so let's watch that again. Okay, right now that's the header being styled, and then I am going to show you what it looks like when you have the H1. It's still a different box though, and I'll show you how we will know that here shortly. Okay. All right, so now we have gray. And I want to be able to see the blue and the gray. So I need to go and talk to the header box again. So I'm going to go back to talk to the header. And I'm going to make him a little bit different size. I am going to make him a height of maybe, let's do 50 pixels, just enough so you can see. Okay. Let's do a little more. Let's do 150 pixels. Let's see it more. Okay, there we go. So that is a box within a box. So we have a header box that is blue because I told CSS style to make it blue, and then we have an H1 box within the box, and then that one is gray because I told CSS to make it gray. Let's go back and change our diagrams to reflect that, so you know that we are now creating content within our page. So what did I just do? I did a Lynn Bailey, and I want you to notice that it's still styled in the top left of the box because we have not told the website to do anything else. So we're going to make it look like that. color did I do it in there? I did it gray, so let's keep it gray. Let's get rid of that. Let's make the stroke a little bit bigger. And let's go black because it won't show up very well. Okay. So now we have my name, but this time it's within a, let's get rid of these because we're done with these. Clean up our workspace a little bit. Okay. Okay. So we're still within the box, but this time we are going to make a H1. Are you coming down here to hang out? Because I'm still videoing. Aw, thanks. You made me dinner. You're so nice to me. Okay, so then we'll end our H1 over here.
And your clothes are done.
Okay, so now we have another box. And I know the content is my name, Lynn Bailey. Let's make a color for content. Anytime we make content for now, let's color it purple. Just so you guys can see that it's content. So that will be something that actually shows up for the user. Okay, and then we also have a section, our pink section was our pink box. And then we have an H2 which says click here for video, and then we have a button that we have not yet styled. So let's see if we can style the background of the H2. We're gonna go gray with that one too. And this is where it says click here for video, but I just want you to see that that's also a box. You see that box pop up? Okay, that's still creating a box within a box. It's a little bit harder to see because the section is not real big yet, so let's set a height of 150 pixels for this one too. Okay, and that didn't really show you too much because the actual title is staying up in the top left corner. So I'm going to, I don't want to confuse you with margins quite yet, so we're just going to work with heights. And just know that I did not make the height up. I got it from here. Okay, and it will tell you that the height property sets the height of an element. Okay, so we now have, and then I also have a button. We need to do something with this button so we can see it a little bit better. So let's put that, we are within the, I want to keep my CSS code a little bit organized though, so I'm going to put this down here, that way I can tell where everything is going. So we have our body, we have our header with our H1 inside, plus we have a section with our H2 inside, plus we also have a button. We'll move that footer down. Okay. The button is going to talk to, let's make the button color, I don't know if it'll be set with background color or not. It may not. Let's try it. Let's try purple. Okay, it did something down there. It was small, but let's try to change the size of that too. Let's do height 65 pixels. Okay, that's too tall for a button. Let's go 40. Okay, this one we're also going to have to set some width because obviously that doesn't quite look like a button yet. Let's do 80 pixels for width. Okay, that looks a little bit more like a button. So now we have a section, which is our pink box, and then we have an H2 that says click here for a video. That's our gray box with the teal lettering inside. And then we have a button that we have styled button. I'm going to put some content in that says this is a button so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, it had to go on 2 lines though because I set the width only at 80 pixels. Let's try to set it at 100. Oh, sorry. I don't know why that didn't affect the styling, so we won't get in that far yet. Let's just stick with that. All right, so I have a button within the pink box. I have a gray box within the pink box, and you can't tell, but this footer is actually not part of it yet. We're gonna do some styling to that soon to make it separate, but just know that that is part of it. So let's reflect our drawing again so that we know what we're doing. We also created another H1 within the section. Oh, let's just do it this way so I don't have to restyle everything. Okay, so I have another box. This time it was an H2 we created. And I need to end my H2. Okay, and what did we put in here? We put this click here for a picture, I believe we put. We said click here for a video. Okay, so let's go back in and put that content here. It's still up at the top. It's very, very unorganized and not pretty yet. Click here for a video. That was our content. And then we also had a button. Okay, and I don't know if you noticed or not, but all of the other tag elements that we have messed with, except for button, have stretched from left to right, all the way across, because that's their default state. That's because they are block level elements, which is the part that I really, really got confused on. We have not styled it yet, so don't panic if they're not doing anything yet. We're creating a really ugly website right now is all we're doing. We will make it prettier eventually. But notice that this button element did not span all the way across. That's because he is part of the inline family, which is why we started up here. I don't know if you remember or not. We started with Ingrid inline, and that's a button, and that's the difference that you will see between inline elements and block elements. So it's a pretty important difference that I missed that the first time around. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this in here. That way you see it reflected in our outline, because this is what you'll actually need to turn in for homework as part of it. The end tag so that the machine knows to close it. I'm purposely keeping them really scrunched up here because I'm trying to reflect it as much as possible to what it looks like in CodePen right now, which is pretty ugly. Okay, and then what do we put here? This is a button. That's what we said there. So that's our content that we actually typed. And it got styled because of the type of tag. All right, so then we have a footer that I think for now we're gonna leave the footer alone, but let's add another image tag in here because we need to also add an image. So let's put an image here. Image tags are weird because they do not have a closing tag. That's why I wanted to wait, because I don't want to throw you for a loop. So if I go to HTML, then I go down to HTML elements, which is where you find a lot of these tags. We're gonna go tag list, and then we want to go down to image, and you will see that image tag does not have any kind of closing tags. It just has an opening, but it will almost always have a source. So I'm just going to copy this source just so you kind of see a setup of what it should look like. I don't think okay, that's more of how you would actually see it. I am not going to even confuse you too much with all of this yet because we haven't gone that far into classes. In some of my other videos, actually, no, I'm going to leave that because if you want to watch videos 1 through 10, I talked about that a smidge. Because then you can at least see. I'll explain it, but so that image tag, I want you to see what happened. We had a button there, and then the image did not fall down to underneath the button. It went to the right of the element because it's an inline element. So we're going to change our drawing to reflect that. Those will not fall down. If there's space to fill the line, it will fill the line, just like you saw there. So we're going to move him over. Because our button is an inline element, not a block element. So we're going to show how it's showing up in CodePen right now. Okay, so this would be image. And I'm just going to make a little note here that, nope, I'm going to leave it empty. Just remember that image tags do not have end tags. And in order to get content in here, you will need to put a source. That's really kind of your content, if you will. You're going to get a picture here, but the picture isn't going to just be show up in your code. You have to connect it to something. Oops, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to just change the color to purple. That's what I was trying to do. Okay. If you are confused on the setup of this, I do talk about it in one of my other videos, and it will actually explain a little bit more. It has to do with our buddy class, or our envelope classy in the messenger. So if that's something that you need a little more explanation on, or let me know and I can make another video again, but it is in there for you. All right, I believe that we have covered all of the bare minimum. Shh, my dogs are insane. Guys, shush it. Okay, so we have a section, we have a div. Oh, we don't have a div yet. H1, header, footer, image, button. Okay, let's go in and add a div to our site. Okay, say within the footer I want to put some kind of link, or I want to have like a little logo or a section in there, a box within my footer that I want to put some kind of information. That is one instance where you can put a div. You can use divs for all kinds of things. I just figured since I didn't have anything in the footer one, we might as well put it in there. So let's change this and put, well, no, let's leave this. Let's put a div. Okay, I'm going to close that up. I still want that footer to show up with something though. So I'm going to put a border on here too. And if you're confused on the border, my video number 5 talked about it. Break it down, baby. Okay, I'm going to make a 5 pixel border. I'm going to make it a sea green border, same color. And I'm going to make it solid. That way you can still see the footer box. Okay, so it did show back up. For a minute it disappeared because I took the content out, but I got it to come back out because you shush. Because I went in and I added a border. So let's go in the div. This is a div box. We can put different content in for our website. Okay, so pretend that's a div box, but I'm going to style the div box something different. That way you can see it, but I'm still going to put it down here so I can keep my CSS a little bit organized. So div. Okay, and we are going to do a background color for our div. Let's do something that'll show up. Let's do a yellow on that div. That's weird. Let's try typing it again. Maybe my dog is distracting me. Get down. Let's try to put it outside of the footer. It might be a specificity issue. Yeah, it looks like that's what it was. There we go. Okay, so I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but it looked like to me it wasn't working because of the order of the CSS, because the way that the machine will read these type of things, there's different information within the tags that might bump it from one thing to another. I don't know all the details on that, but it seemed like once I switched the order. So don't panic at first if something doesn't work, because there's a lot of trial and error still involved. Okay, so I just wanted you to see though that we have a footer box, and then there is a yellow box within the green footer box. All right, so let's go back to our diagram. And so we're gonna add that in now. Let's get, and let's check to make sure it was a block element because it went all the way from the left to the right versus these two inline elements that we were working with before. So I want to reflect it as a block down here. Within my footer. Okay, and we are going to call it a div tag. You get down, baby. She's being such a bad dog right now. Okay. I'm going to start my div. And then I need to end my shush. It's at the top left. Obviously, my diagram's not perfect because I want you to still be able to see it. Stop it. You are being non-nice. Okay. All right. So that is at the bare minimum so far in the directions of the assignment what you would have to do for your outline of your website. Obviously it is very hideous and ugly right now, but we ended up with a total of how many boxes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 it looks like. Let's go count our tags and see if those match up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. So 10 boxes on our page. They're all colored different colors. That way you can see them. In the next video, I'm going to show you a little bit about moving them around and trying to style them up a little bit, so that it'll look a little bit more like a website for you.